It's October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and with me right now is one of our dearest friends, Britt Purdy, is a breast cancer survivor, and this is the perfect time to talk about it. She's wearing pink, and she's beautiful, and isn't it great to know that you're a survivor?
Yes.
That is so important. The mammogram didn't catch it, you caught it.
Right, I caught it in the middle of the night. I just kind of rolled over and my hand swept across my left breast and there was this bump and I thought it was a bug bite. So I got up and I looked in the mirror and I felt it and it was the size of a walnut. So I went back to bed and I told Glenn, I said, I've got something to tell you. And I said, I found a lump. And he waited for a minute and then he turned over and he felt it, and sure enough, that was the beginning of our journey. And I lay there and I said, okay, my life has changed. And didn't know it then, but I believe it's been changed for the better.
Now, when you were laying there in bed and you had to wait for the dawn to be able to do something about this, what went through your mind? What goes through your mind? Because I know people that have never been through this, that might be going through this, would probably like to hear what actually is the first thoughts that you have.
Well, I thought, wow, I've heard about this happening. I can't believe it happened to me. And then I began to chart out, okay, first call in the morning is going to be to my gynecologist. And from there on, it was like lightning. Everything fell right into place. My gynecologist set me up with the most incredible physicians. And within 24 hours, I had pretty much a pretty good idea about what my journey was going to be as far as the biopsy. You know, if the biopsy came back positive, then what would take place? There was some uncertainty and some fear, but most of all, I felt that by going through this, you know, I would just take it each day at a time, and I kept hoping that it was going to be benign. But after I went and I had the ultrasound and the other mammogram, I could tell by looking at their faces that it was quite serious.
Right.
So then I knew.
Do you have a history of breast cancer in your family at all?
No, I do not.
No history of it?
No history.
So I think that makes a little bit of a difference when you're almost waiting for that to happen if you have the history in your family. So once you had the diagnosis, what was the next step after that?
It was funny, I Googled. I wanted to know what other people were experiencing or what they were going to experience through the process. And I think the uncertainty of, I think the big question was, okay, if I know that it's malignant, is it in my lymph nodes? That was the biggest question in my mind. If it were in my lymph nodes, then I felt like my entire journey was going to be much more critical. So after the diagnosis came, it was suggested that I have a mastectomy, and I did, and all this took place within a 2-week period of time, from the time that I felt the lump all the way to the point of the mastectomy. It was 2 weeks. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to really, for me, to be too emotional. It was just a matter of, I felt like my family and my friends circled the wagons, and we just said, we're going to fight this, and we're going to get through it day by day, and that's what we did.
Did you ever have any of the genetic testing, the BRCA1?
No, I did not.
Things like that?
I did not.
Okay.
And that really wasn't suggested to me either. I think being 60 and the fact that I'm postmenopausal and have been for many years, I don't think that was ever suggested.
I understand also now that you've been through it. Now you've had reconstructive surgery.
Yes, I have.
And how far out are you now from the diagnosis?
I am a year and a half.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah, I'm 6 years out from prostate cancer. It's amazing. You'll have another anniversary now
Right.
that you're a survivor, another important anniversary. And I understand you've been helping other women that have been going through this, even women that you've never met.
Right. For some reason, people who know people, it's all about relationships, who have just discovered that they have breast cancer. And just by sending emails and texting, kind of keeping up with what they're going through, I know how the treatment is and what they're going to experience as they go through these treatments. It's really been a blessing to me to be able to kind of guide someone else through it, because people did that for me as I was going through it. People would find out about me and they would say, hey, I went through it, here's kind of what you can expect. And it's just nice that I never felt alone the entire time, never. I always had my family surrounding me and people that I've never met. I still haven't met some of them in person to this day.
That's interesting. I think women have a better tribal function than men do. I think men try to keep things internal, but working with breast cancer survivors and with the American Cancer Society, I've just noticed that you guys do a really good job of networking, sisterhood, keeping everybody, especially knowing what to expect down the road. That's a big part of it, I think.
I think one of the things is that I was so surrounded by positive people, and I think what really helped me get through it is them being positive and me staying positive and understanding that through what I had read through the chemotherapy treatments, I was going to have some rough days, and I did, but you do come out of it. And something that my husband did, who is just the light of my life, he wrote poems, and that's how he processed what we were going through. And I looked on to chemo as part of my warrior. She was my angel warrior. And even though there was discomfort going through it, she was fighting the battle for me and with me. And staying positive with the wonderful medical things that are allowed, that continue to grow with us, has made such an enormous difference in my life and everyone around me. It's just been, as people say, well, I've had a lot of people say, were you angry when you found out? And never angry. And did you ask why you? No, because I don't think cancer happened to me. I think cancer happened for me, because for it, I believe I'm a better person. I think it humbled me beyond, where I didn't worry about the things that used to concern me. The small things didn't bother me. And I breathe in every present moment that I can, and I squeeze everything out of it, because I don't feel like any of us really have the luxury to fret about tomorrows. It's what is happening right now. And so it's really been a positive journey, if you can imagine.
Isn't that somebody who's been through cancer, been through chemotherapy, been through surgery, and you still have a positive outlook on it, that you can, that's a wonderful way to look on things. Can you take us through the treatments that you had?
Yes. I had 6 treatments of chemotherapy.
This is after surgery?
After the mastectomy.
Okay.
I had 6 treatments of chemotherapy, and the lymph node that was touched, which the sentinel node, was just a fraction touched by the cancer. So all 21 nodes were removed. So I elected not to do the radiation. And, it was just one of those decisions I felt that I did not need to, because of the fact that the surgeon said, which was Brian Pickens, that the margins were so clean and very, very clear. And the fact that the cancer had just grazed a little bit of that sentinel node, and that he took all the other nodes, I elected not to do radiation. So as soon as the chemotherapy was over, it was October the 30th, I had the reconstructive surgery done November the 30th, which was the DIEP flap surgery, where they removed my abdomen flesh and skin, and they transferred it onto my chest, and they kept the blood vessels there. And so I went through, I think, 6 more surgeries after that, just a little bit of altering, making sure that things were kind of, one side was a little bit bigger than the other, just a little bit of modification. And I think my last surgery was like maybe the beginning of July, and that's it. And I'm just so complete. And my plastic surgery, Dr. Rosenberg, amazing, absolutely amazing. And I just feel so blessed that I've had so many wonderful people in the profession that have just absolutely held my hand. I never felt uncomfortable, negative. It was really a good experience. If it can be a good experience, it was.
You've got a great attitude. I think that's a big part of it. Mind over matter is as important as the medicine and the physicians. So how has your lifestyle changed?
I eat better. The one thing that I try really to do is rest. I used to just wake up in the middle of the night fretting about things. I don't do that anymore. I just rest. As far as the exercising, I'm back to playing basketball. I come down here
Basketball?
once a week. Yeah. I play basketball. There's a group of us with the Orthopedic Institute. We come down, we play basketball, and it's a lot of fun. And I just stay active. The only thing I think more of is, like I mentioned before, I think of every moment. I squeeze it so that I can get the most precious thing from it. And I don't fret about what hasn't been.
Is there any advice you can give to somebody? What advice would you give to a woman who's never had breast cancer but needs to take care of herself?
Just to make sure to get your regular checkups, have your mammograms, self-check, constantly self-check, because what wasn't there a month ago in me was huge in 1 month. It grows very quickly. And to stay informed, and if you have any sensation whatsoever that you know your body and you know that it's not normal, get it checked. Go and get it checked. Don't just fret about, oh, it'll go away. Everyone knows their body, and if there's any type of change whatsoever, get it checked. All they can say is it's nothing, or let's go ahead and continue and see what this might be. But that's one of the things I can always say is don't be afraid, just get it checked.
That's wonderful. And your support group, are you still in touch with your support group?
Yes, I really am. And it's growing. It just grows, the opportunities open up. And I'm able to talk with a lot of different people. In fact, my husband and I were walking through Publix, and I saw a lady I knew was going through chemotherapy. She didn't have a hat on, it was obvious. And I walked up to her and I told her, I said, I know that you're probably going through chemotherapy, and I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. And it opened up the conversation, and we just talked, and she asked questions and I asked questions, and we hugged, because there's just this thing between us now that we know what we were going through, and we are going to be fine. We're coming out of it. And so I don't usually go through a day without thinking about it, and usually I go through a day of being very grateful for everything, and that brings me back to that it changed for the
Right.
better in me.
But I like that you're looking on the positive side. It's not the master of you, you're the master of it.
True.
Yeah.
It does not define me.
Excellent. Well, Britt Purdy, we look forward to the next anniversary, and the next anniversary, and the next anniversary. Thanks for sharing your story.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me.
Sure.